You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international, and oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to Monday. It's Meatloaf Monday. It's Meatloaf Monday. We got a sound effect for that one. Play it, man.
I think I'll try the meatloaf sandwich.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, meatloaf.
What is it? I'm only asking in case I have to describe it later to a doctor.
Look, it's nutritious. It's delicious.
Made out of meat. Add ketchup if you want. I couldn't care less.
Meatloaf Monday, all day long. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always about food, but here we are. And JP's pushing buttons on the board. Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. It's a good post-Super Bowl Monday today.
It is.
I'm very satisfied with that outcome.
I knew that you would be.
Yes.
Am I wrong? Did you predict the Chiefs, though?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I thought you did.
I thought the Chiefs would figure a way to win, but I'm glad they didn't.
It was something,
and
man.
they got embarrassed.
I know what you really hung in there for was the halftime show.
Yeah, I did watch the halftime show.
Epic.
Everybody's been dogging it, but I thought it was good.
Okay. I'm the old guy who was like, I don't understand what he's saying. Hey, listen, we got a great show laid on for you. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl here in a minute, too. But, yeah, we got a great show coming up at 3 o'clock today. Our friend Emily Jones, who is one of our podcasters with her podcast, The Controversial Mom. Emily Jones, founder of Moms for Liberty. She'll be on at 3 o'clock talking about some things that are happening down yonder in Montgomery, and I'll tell you all about it then. But that's at 3 o'clock, and then I still got a triple dipper just filled up with stuff, so hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. First out the gate, I'm calling it For the Kids. We've done this more than once where there's just a need to talk about things we got to do for the kids. And you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we really need to go, you know what? Let's do this one for the kids. And that's important. But there's some legislation pending. There are some socio-cultural issues that still need to be addressed. And there are some things happening around the nation that need to be stopped. And I'm going to say right now, we got to do some of this for the kids. And that's number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, I wrestle with what to call this dipper. I just finally called it DOGE doings. DOGE doings. It's not all USAID, y'all. Did you hear what happened with the CFPB this weekend, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau? Holy cow. As Trump continues to take a torch to most of the establishment issues and the money pots in D.C., we're going to talk about DOGE doings as number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, I didn't get to it Friday. My plan is to get to it today, and I added some more material to it. We all live in border states. That's what I'm calling number 3. We all live in border states. It's super important that we keep track of the work being done to rectify one of the most egregious things that occurred during the Biden administration, which was our open borders. At the same time, though, what are the states doing about it? Because we're all border states. Can states chime in? Can states do something? And I would say the answer to that is yes, they can. So number 3 on the Triple Dipper, we all live in border states. Doesn't matter where you are. We all do. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. Hey, let me jump on over here to the Rightside Way monologue, though, and I'll remind you guys that every single day, the Rightside Way monologue is brought to you by Stan McDonald, law firm Wilmer & Lee. He's a partner there. Stan McDonald, he is our daily sponsor, and I will tell you more about Stan here in just a few minutes. All right, well, it's official. I may have recovered my Facebook page. I say it's official because the may have category, I haven't personally seen it yet, but my digital people, including JP, tell me it's back. And we're actually streaming on it today. Isn't that amazing? Look, I had thousands of followers or friends or subscribers or whatever they're called on that one, and I haven't been able to access it for several years. But it appears that it's back, and I'm glad to hear it because we plan to make as much use of it as possible now that Mark Zuckerberg has had the scales drop from his eyes. I have no idea how we lost it, actually. One day I had it, the next day it was gone. We randomly looked the other day, and all of a sudden we could see the account again, but we couldn't get into it. It was back, sort of, from some long-lost social media purgatory. I really don't know why. I don't know why it went away, why I was locked out. But knowing me, I probably said something very true that hurt someone's feelings, and just like that, I was locked out. Look, it wasn't so long ago that I was also banned from Twitter, now X, and it was temporary. Somehow, some way, I offended the gods of Twitter. That's gods with a little g, by the way. They slapped me with a timeout in the penalty box for 24 hours or some such nonsense. Who knows what I allegedly said? Truthfully, looking back, I think I know what it was. There was a liberal troll who called me a, quote, domestic terrorist, and it spilled out of the fact that I had called out the liberal mayor of Birmingham for his 15,000 blanket pardons for drug possession, to which I mocked my Twitter troll laughingly with one of those memes that shows someone spitting out their coffee at something funny. I mean, how sad, though, really? How sad? How ridiculous is that? I, as a conservative, call out a liberal and then have the ubiquitous label of domestic terrorist thrown on me, and I get blocked. The level to which some folks will go to make sure that you're not allowed to say something or take offense or feel triggered or need their safe space. Look, I don't know what the world would have been like if Elon Musk had not purchased Twitter. Literally, carried a kitchen sink in the front door, fired all the snowflakes, and rebranded it as X. Does anybody even know where Jack Dorsey is now? Remember him? The guy that looked like a hobo and ran old Twitter like a censorship machine? Where is he now? Sort of like the Bible says, you will look for them and they will not be found. But seriously, the level to which the left used to go, very recently actually, to make sure that nothing was said that triggered anyone or caused any offense or shocked the sensitive natures or stepped on their baby goat toes or made them feel bad for having a therapy peacock or something, it was really amazing. And it was sad. It was like one tantrum after another. My suggestion, take it for what it's worth, my suggestion is that real life needs to get back to the life we see in the movies. And I know that sounded weird, but bear with me here. In fact, let me do it this way. You name me your favorite movie. You name it. And I guarantee there's parts of it that you can quote like outright. The kind of quotes like where you're sitting there mouthing the words and people in the room look at you and ask, so how many times have you watched this movie? After which you just kind of try to restrain yourself and just mouth the words more quietly. Charlene knows that if we're watching TV together and we're not yet settled on something, there's the very real risk that I might stop on a channel as I'm surfing through that has one of those favorite movies, which might usually cause her to say, I don't recall agreeing to watch this one, after which I give the pleading look and quickly look back to the TV saying something lame like, yeah, but it's almost to the part that so-and-so says so-and-so. Could we just wait a minute? On a good day, she'll just give me a look that I can feel more than see, and with a deep sigh, she'll just go back to her phone and look at her social media while I pretend I just wanted to watch for a minute. She's listening right now, so I may have given away too much information. But listen, I've got several of those movies that I can't resist stopping on to see what part the storyline is in, and of course there's all the quotes. Let's think about those quotes for a minute, and then I'll get back to my point. One of them's, "Oh brother, where art thou?" I love that movie. Charlene hates it. But there's more one-liners out of that single film than any other. Like every time my team in Baghdad had a bad day or a bad moment, it was inevitable somebody on our team would go, "Come on in, fellers, the water's fine." Direct from the movie. Or how about the outlaw Josie Wales? You gonna pull them pistols or whistle Dixie? Clint Eastwood is such an icon. Or then, of course, there's Braveheart. Where are you going? Going to pick a fight. Sure as we didn't get dressed up for nothing. And then there's one that almost guarantees, with a high rate of return, that the remote control is going to stop on whatever channel it happens to be on. In that movie, I've said it before, Tombstone. Oh, yeah. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton as the Earp brothers. Of course, the role of his life, Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday. I mean, how many notable quotes come from that single movie? And most of them came from, Val Kilmer's character. "Why, Johnny Ringo, you look as though somebody just walked on your grave." And of course, the maddening challenge that I guarantee you every man has repeated at least once in his life. "I'm your Huckleberry." I love that movie. Here's the thing. Here's why I say all that. Here's my point. I would bet that any of the movies that you love, which have quotable lines, sayings that stick with you, I would bet that most of them say things that get people banned by snowflakes on social media. It's because heroes don't talk like politically correct, non-binary lip syncers who squint in the sun and run to their safe spaces when the mean old everyday salt of the earth real people make society function by saying something, I don't know, normal. There is nothing inspiring about tepid words. The great speeches, the halftime locker room inspirations, the quotes that fire us up or inspire us to action, those don't come from a highly moderated, overly sensitive alternate reality where people who are not even part of the conversation are allowed to judge the merits and worth of your words. And by the way, after the fact, and oh, by the way, out of context. I mean, wow. What would Tombstone have been like if it had been more like, why, Johnny Ringo, hello, I don't want to be offensive or cause you any concern, but I believe I need to intervene in this tense situation. That would be a hard no. Now, I get it. Words can be offensive. And it's true that bullying often starts with words. Emotional abuse and suppressive language, those can damage people, and I get it. I've also said for years that if you can't express yourself without profanity or threats, then you either lack education, lack intelligence, or you lack self-control, or maybe all the above. So in any event, if threats and profanity are your go-tos, then you need to work on your vocabulary. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I am talking about is a return to dialogue. I'm talking about the ability for people to express their opinions, to lace them with humor, to laugh at themselves, and even laugh at others, and risk being laughed at by others, to sort of jack up the opposition when they're wrong and tell them what line they're not allowed to cross, to be able to share your thoughts with others without concern that a non-participant is going to be triggered by them and attempt to intervene somehow after the fact and out of context and then provide some kind of penalty or limitation on your ability to do so again. Facebook did that. They became the harbingers of truth and the gatekeepers of misinformation. Twitter became its own worst enemy. Google announced now they're finally doing away with DEI. TikTok might go the way of the dodo bird. We don't know yet. Instagram, we'll see. The bottom line, though, is that the electronic public square is real. It's here to stay. And there is certainly a need for decorum, and profanity and pornography and child exploitation and other criminal conduct should not be allowed. I get it, and I agree. But actual people talking and sharing opinions should never be governed by overly sensitive soy boys who sit in cry rooms who only want the world to be more like anime. Liberals are generally uninspiring. Their words don't motivate me, except to make me want to galvanize more conservatives to get to action. So that's what we're going to keep doing here at Rightside Radio. I got my Facebook page back, and we're going to keep using the medium of every social media platform and radio to continue to reach thousands of people every day. And we're taking back all of it. And I think most of you are. And from what we can see from here, it's actually working. So, hey, liberal snowflakes, I'm your Huckleberry. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Well, there you have it. And yeah, by the way, we're streaming on Facebook right now, first day. So we'll see if I got locked out again. But I think it's a new day. But yes, I do believe that the reality is we cannot allow our society ever to be governed again by the snowflakes who portray themselves as gatekeepers on social media. What did I call them? Politically correct, non-binary lip syncers who squint in the sun and run to safe spaces? Well, listen, all I'm saying is this. Speak it well, and speak it often. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Oh, yeah. I'm just saying. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. Hey, I told you that the Daily Monologue is brought to you by attorney Stan McDonald. Stan McDonald, he's a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee up in Huntsville. Stan McDonald, a 30-year veteran in the practice of law in North Alabama. And listen, not only is Stan the kind of guy who's going to advocate and fight for your legal needs, y'all, Stan has been an absolute warrior over the years, and I know it for a fact, an absolute warrior on what I would call conservative politics and conservative issues that ruffians care about. So all you right-side ruffians, Stan McDonald, he's your guy. But listen, attorney Stan McDonald, he can represent you in real estate transactions. He can stand there for you in local, state, and federal courts. I like to say when Stan McDonald's on your side, you're going to have no greater friend. And, oh, by the way, your adversaries would have no greater foe. So yes, attorney Stan McDonald at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee. I'm going to tell you how to get in touch with him. You ready? I'll give you his number. Stan McDonald, a family man, America First guy. He's an attorney who's vigilant. Here's his phone number, 256-479-3020. That's Stan McDonald, 256-479-3020. And tell him you heard about it on Rightside Radio. And oh, by the way, no representation made of the quality of legal service be performed is greater than the quality of legal service before the lawyers. You know I did that well. You know I did. That was a good one.
That was pretty good.
I got a call already. Let me just jump. The text lines are blowing up, by the way. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Text it or call it. Same number for both. And on line one right now, Sparky from Harvest. Hey, man, how are you?
I'm awesome. Happy Monday. And I'm sorry I missed the monologue, so if I'm talking over something you said, I don't really ever watch TV, but I got a chance to stream the Super Bowl for free on my computer yesterday evening. And is it the Trump effect or what? Was there a lot of God, country, American flag, patriotism on display in the preamble songs and the commercials? And I'm just like, it was turning my head. Except for the lip syncing musical disaster at the halftime, I didn't see an ounce of woke on display.
You know what's interesting too? You say that, yes. I think I would affirm that. I think what you saw is what I saw, and there was a lot of red, white, and blue, like the Jeep commercial by Harrison Ford, and then you had Samuel L. Jackson, dressed up like Uncle Sam as part of the halftime show, and all the red, white, and blue dancers and all that kind of stuff, and then some of the other commercials, and then before for the first kickoff, they had a commercial basically sort of announcing the game, and it was Brad Pitt, and he was all about the greatness of America and what we stand for as a people. And what's interesting, though, is every single one of those people I just named endorsed Kamala Harris. But not a one of them said anything that sounded like they were like having to bite their tongue. It's like they were just talking about country and like they realized, okay, that's where we are.
Well, Hollywood in the entertainment industry, a lot of people, no matter their political persuasions, will tell you over the last 15 years, if they want to work, they have to keep their mouth shut if they have anything resembling a conservative, God-fearing, religious, or Republican viewpoint, because they'd be completely blacklisted and out of work. Well, I think people are going to start speaking up. And from a business standpoint, I think Hollywood films could do with a whole lot more entertainment and a lot less woke, nonsense, which has permeated Disney movies for quite a couple of years now.
I would agree, and I think it's interesting too that Trump even appointed John Voight, Mel Gibson, and somebody else as his and Sly Stallone as his ambassadors to Hollywood. Hey, the music's playing, Spark. I got to go, man, but you were on the money. Appreciate you.
Goodbye.
See you. All right, he's right. I tell you what, we'll talk about that in a minute before I even jump into my topic. But yes, I think last night was a game, but last night was also like a moment in time, if you know what I'm saying. We'll talk about it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I am talking about this show goes from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I'm talking about way on down yonder in that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. I even mean to say there's big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi thrown in, just for good measure. All right, so we are back right now. I gotta say, JP. This was a big doings weekend for sports.
It was.
I am sure that consumed part of your time on the off the bench radio show Saturday morning.
Yeah, just about all of it. Yeah.
I'm also pretty sure that while you were pulling for Jalen Hurts, you actually predicted Kansas City.
I did. I thought they were going to use some of their black magic that they've used all year to find a way to win. But
who do they do?
It appears they ran out of black magic, so there's that, and they got stomped. You know, it wasn't even close.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to miss a part of it. I lost track of time, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's already on!" And I go in, and it's almost halftime. I'm like, "Wait a minute, that can't be right." It was like 34-0 at the halftime. Is that what it was?
It was. It may have been 17-0 at half. It was 17 or 20. Something.
I think it was 20 something.
But you get to 30. I think it was 34-0 going into the fourth. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I watched the whole second half, and I was like, "This is not what I expected."
What annoyed me was, Tom Brady was calling the game, and of course at one point he goes, "Well, you Tom, you were down big at one Super Bowl, were you?" And I was sitting there, I was like, "Stop," because that reminded me when the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead against Tom Brady. Yeah. They had to mention that a couple times.
Brady's commentary, I will say this. At one point I was like, who is that voice? Oh, that's Brady. But Brady's commentary is more often along the lines of, I remember one time.
Yeah. My first 9 Super Bowls,
Yeah. There was that one game.
Yeah.
Well, I saw him yelling at the refs. I did that all the time. They used to get on to me. I only had one technical, though. Wish I'd had more.
Yeah.
It's like...
His voice isn't very great to hear, I don't think either. But I mean, he's the GOAT, so you got to put him on there.
I mean, what do you say? He could have a voice like Minnie Mouse. He'd still be all right because. Yeah. But what'd you think of? Jalen Hurts. He kind of came out and did the thing, didn't he?
That may have been the best game of his career. I mean, he and if I would have told if I went back in time and told myself Jalen was going to have the best game of his career, I would have figured running the ball and not throwing the ball. But, he had one interception that was kind of, he was getting blitzed and kind of threw it up. But other than that, I feel like he was on the money. That touchdown pass to Devontae Smith was beautiful.
How many was that, like a 60-yard pass?
It was like 40 or 50 yards, something like that. Yeah, it was
in the bucket, man.
Literally perfect. And he's improved a lot throughout, not just since college, but in his time in the NFL. But then you look at his story, like literally like a storybook career of, getting benched in the national championship game, staying in Alabama after that year, being the backup, being a good teammate, and then going to the NFL, losing in the first Super Bowl, and coming back, and then winning Super Bowl MVP is like I have so much respect for Jalen Hurts' patience and perseverance.
And he gave all credit to God.
Yep.
So that's. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. That's one of the things I noticed. Aside from the fact that we had so much unabashed patriotism in the mix, it was also interesting that we had just like evidence of players expounding on their faith everywhere. I mean, there was even someone I retweeted this morning on my social media on X that did a whole compilation of all the players who gave credit to Jesus Christ or, to their relationship with the Lord. It was everywhere.
Yeah, and it was the same in college football, too. I feel like there was a ton of people being outspoken about their faith in football all this year. It's definitely a culture shift, for sure.
There is. And I wonder how much of it is a shift and how much is a shift in the media being willing to show it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. All I know is I saw a lot more of it, and it's also very refreshing, to be honest with you. I got so sick of the Colin Kaepernick, time frame when there were all these pampered athletes who were downgrading our country and kneeling at the flag, and nothing was good enough, and whole teams were staying in the locker room during the anthem. And I'm like, man, what the heck? You guys are like just, forgetting the fact that you're getting rich in the country that you're just denigrating right now.
You're getting paid to play football.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. My gain went way back up all of a sudden, by the way. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going up and down. So if I sound like I'm getting loud, it's my fault. But anyway, hey, bottom line is I got a bunch of text messages. Good game, though. Any further thoughts you want to throw on it?
Other than all the old heads bashing the halftime performance, I thought it was pretty good.
Hang on a second. Are you calling me an old head? Did you just say that?
You didn't bash it. I wasn't talking about you. I was just seeing a lot of people saying, when are we going to have a George Strait halftime performance? That's what needs to go out.
I have no problem with that, by the way. No, I did actually tag on to somebody. There's that one with Brad Pitt, by the way, on the screen. I did see somebody posted about, old guys not knowing, and I went ahead and said, I was going to go ahead and answer. Here are the things that were coming out of my mouth, and I said things like, what did he say? And remember back when Creed played the halftime show? And I was like, and then I think the last thing I quoted myself saying was, you care if I just mute this during the halftime? All right, listen, I'm going to take some text messages and then we'll jump into the material. I got plenty of stuff laid on for you today. Don't forget, coming up top of the hour, we got our friend Emily Jones calling in. But yes, text lines are indeed open, 833-687-4448. A bunch of y'all chimed in on both Super Bowl and my monologue. Gary from Decatur says, speaking of Hollywood, have you noticed that a lot of celebrities moving out of the country are on the leaked Epstein Island visitors list? Is there a leaked list? I've not seen a leaked list.
I don't know if it's real, but they're out there.
Okay, I don't trust anything until it's been validated, all right? There's been 2 or 3 stories in the last few days that I've said I can't go with that until we have some more validation of it. I had one that's like, Trump just did away with the Department of Education. Actually, nothing's out there saying that he did. Is he working towards it? Probably. Wendell from Baton Rouge said, not a Super Bowl commercial, but did you see the Army's new recruitment video? I did. Oh, for Special Forces? I did not. I need to check it out. I will look for it. Thank you very much, Wendell. Bruce from Springville says, what's another name for Facebook gatekeepers? Zuckerberg's bootlickers. Okay. It works. John from Huntsville, Phil's spectacular monologue. Also, JP, I told you the Eagles are a better team. I got to say, overall, the Super Bowl gets a grade F from me. So the commercials were just not that funny, and most of them were way too woke for my taste. Yeah, there was the one Nike had to have the all-girl flag football team beating the guy athletes, and the guy athletes were all just punks, and that was weird.
What was with there was another Nike commercial promoting girl sports. It's like, that's great. However, I guarantee you Nike was all for transgenders in women's sports.
Oh,
so they're not really pro-woman. They like to appear pro-woman.
I did like Bud Light's effort to get back in good graces.
Yeah, I think they're back.
I think they're coming back. I think
they're almost back.
There are people who are like, we've missed you. Are you really back? They're waiting to see. I liked Harrison Ford's Jeep commercial.
Yeah, it was good.
And by the way, he took a complete poke at Ford. I don't know if you saw it, but at one point the Jeep blew past a Ford Bronco on the trail and sneered at them as they went by. And then at the end he goes, this is my Jeep. And I really like it, even though my last name is Ford. It's like, wow. Anyway, John says the game was over at halftime. And he says he would have preferred a Carrie Underwood halftime show because at least she knows how to sing with or without music. So there you go.
And he says he has a crush on Carrie Underwood.
Oh, I missed the last line. It is a crush. There you go. Brian from Huntsville, as to the monologue, he says, in the sentiments of Gabby Johnson in Blazing Saddles, Reverend. Scott from Athens says, bold-hearted men are always called mean-spirited by cowards. Yes, indeed. Allie from Athens, by the way, we were having trouble getting her text the other day, but there's one right there. Says, Colonel, could you possibly be referring to Arnold Schwarzenegger in Kindergarten Cop when he looks at the kids and says, you are soft? That could probably make somebody unhappy these days. Might be a tumor. Jeff from Indiana says, if Charlene doesn't like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, she just had her Kentucky license plate revoked, or license revoked. He said she's not bona fide. No, she's bona fide. She just knows what she likes. Bordeaux from Harvest says, so much winning. The Dems are losing their minds. So much fun after 4 years of misery. Glory. And then David at Bucky says, JP, this is going to be interesting. Even with the loss, Auburn remains number 1 and Bama at the number 2. That's right. I forgot that Auburn went down to Florida on Saturday, like hard.
Florida came up to Auburn and being pretty bad. But if Auburn beats Vanderbilt and then Alabama beats Texas this week, we're going to have 1 versus 2 in the IBOB, which the state might explode. I don't know if they can handle. We're going to get we could possibly get the number 1 versus 2 Alabama Auburn in basketball before football, which is pretty nuts.
That would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Both teams got to handle their business.
That's, come on, bring it, fellas. All right, listen, we got plenty laid on. I'm going to come right back and jump on into the topics. You guys stay with me. We're talking about For the Kids, and then coming up top of the hour, Emily Jones with us. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. Hey, check out all our social media, by the way, and I will also make an announcement right now that some of you guys are going to want to know about. In fact, it's already happening. But a bunch of you guys are already on we have thousands of people getting our daily email blast called the Rightside Report. It comes out and it tells you, basically like what's going to be on the show today, who the guests are going to be sometimes. We got podcast information. We got links to things we got going on. And bam, the Rightside Media brand new merch store is going live. We got some hats, we got some shirts, we got some coffee mugs, and we got some Bulletproof Influence highball glasses, and you're going to want to see those because they're the coolest thing I think in there. All of that stuff is now available in the merch store, but only if you're on the Rightside Report. So we're going to give advance look to those who get the Rightside Report for the next several days before we open it up to anybody else.
Till Wednesday.
Till Wednesday. So midweek. So the first 3 days of the new merch store, we decided we were going to go ahead and just slide that out there just for people who already subscribed to the Rightside Report. But if you want to get subscribed, it's no charge, by the way. All it is an email. It comes in and just tells you all about what's going on at Rightside, because we got a lot going on. This is not just a radio show. Rightside Media is the parent company. Rightside Radio is only one of our productions. But if you want to get sort of tied in with what we're doing, or if you want to have first dibs at the merch store, all you got to do is this number that we use on the show every day, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Just text one word, newsletter. Nothing else, just newsletter. It'll automatically trigger a response to you for you to enroll in the newsletter. No charge. It just comes to your inbox, but it has links right now to the brand new merch store, and it looks good. It does. By the way, Butters is the digital guy who sets all that stuff up, and he does great work, and so we're pretty proud of it. We're going to be adding additional merchandise here in the very near future, but the first run is already up and out, but only available if you're a newsletter folk. So be a newsletter folk. Join us. Rightside Ruffians, get in there. All right, first dipper of the day. I'm calling this for the kids. And I will say this. I think that, I spent a lot of years professionally committed to working with kids. I did. My first job coming out of college was to work in an adolescent drug and alcohol and behavioral disorder treatment center. We had a lot of kids that for several years I worked there, and it was deep work with deeply troubled kids. And because of my time there, I felt more and more compelled to go into full-time ministry with kids. And so I spent the next 7 years after that, basically over almost 10 and a half, 11 years, working full-time, committed to kids. I have a heart for kids. I do. It's not my day-to-day calling now, but my heart is still there, and I still think that working for Young Life Ministries is one of the best jobs I ever had. That being said, I think that we're in a place right now where I used to see things that happened to kids in some dire settings working in the treatment center and even in ministry. And I would come across things and think, oh my gosh, these kids not only need Jesus, but my gosh, they just need intervention, period. Some of the lives these kids led or had thrust upon them were just galling. And yet I would say that maybe right now we're seeing more stuff put on kids, done to kids, or exposed to kids than we ever saw in previous era, ever. I mean, I'm sitting here right now, there's a big age gap between me and JP. But JP, I still think right now, you're not near as far removed from high school or anything that I was, but I think it's even worse now than it was when you were in high school, the amount of crap that's available to kids.
Yeah. It's only been like 4 years, and I feel like I would agree with that, yeah.
It's just really kind of gross sometimes what they have thrust on them. Here's the thing. What's also very apparent to me, especially in the last 4 years, is some of what was happening we couldn't see until, if there was one thing good that came out of COVID, is all of a sudden we could see inside the educational environment because everybody had to log in from home. And all of a sudden parents are like, what? You're doing what? What's on your school, website? What's on your assignment list? You've got to read what? Your teacher said what? Why is there a rainbow flag hanging behind your teacher on the login you did today? I didn't know that was there. And all these things were happening, and not everywhere. There's great teachers out there, people who have a distinct calling, much like I had, to be there for kids in a good environment. But y'all, I'm looking at things like, for instance, I've got a story here off the New York Post. Just really talking about the fact that the Department of Education at the federal level, the Department of Education, even Bill Maher, the liberal commentator / comedian, even he says, it's not like kids are getting any smarter. He says, I mean, the numbers keep getting worse and worse, and I don't know what the Department of Education, I don't know what it does. He said, I don't except take money. All it is the middleman. And he's talking about the fact that a recent study indicated that something like a third of all 8th graders in the United States don't have basic reading skills. In 8th grade. Now, he pointed out, he says, I don't know what the Department of Education does. It just takes money. And then I've got this article from townhall.com. Came out yesterday. By the way, the one from Bill Maher came out Sunday. This one came out Sunday evening or Monday morning. The federal government has spent $1 billion through the Department of Education to indoctrinate children in DEI and social emotional learning issues. $1,522,304.81 to fund DEI and social emotional learning initiatives. These initiatives included race-based teacher recruiting and training, youth activism, restorative justice practices, many of which are modeled on far leftist ideas. For instance, one school district in Philadelphia got $4 million to do a, quote, restorative justice program, guided by a far-left activist and former Communist Party member. We have any number of things right now that are happening that are just wrong in terms of what happens to kids, the transgender ideology, the other things that are happening in terms of, culprits who are, perpetrators who are preying on them through social media and otherwise. But when you find out your own government is spending money to take them down roads the parents would never have agreed to, it's galling. It's also at a time, think about this, it's at a time in life when these are considered to be minors under the law, minors who, by the way, haven't yet learned how to think critically, don't often know how to weed out the good and the bad. And so an authority figure, a teacher, is telling them, well, here's what we're going to do and why you need to think that way. And they're looking at it going, yeah, okay, you're an authority figure. I have to trust it more. Because critical thinking tells them when to set it aside, but not being a critical thinker yet puts them in a position of supposedly they're going to trust. And why should they not? It's an authority figure in their life. And yet you're finding out right now, as Trump and DOGE and all of it get going, the Department of Education in D.C. spent $1 billion over the last few years to fund DEI and social emotional learning. Well, somebody who's neck deep in all of this and really tracking it is our friend Emily Jones, and she's got legislation right now, too, we need to look at in Montgomery. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 2 on a Meatloaf Monday. Yes, indeed. And I tell you, it's really something as we watch what is happening with the world trying to find access to our kids. What's galling even more so, though, is when you realize government is at the center of it, or government's not doing enough to prevent it. And somebody who's really made that like her champion cause is our own friend, Emily Jones. Emily Jones, you may recall, founded Moms for Liberty in Madison, the very first chapter in the state of Alabama. She has since become somewhat of an icon or fixture in politics, especially as it relates to the social issues that impact our kids. And she also brought a bill to my attention that I want to talk about with her here in a minute. But she's on the phone right now. Emily Jones, how are you doing?
I'm doing lovely. How are y'all?
I'm doing good. By the way, I forgot to mention a minute ago, you're one of our podcasters, and your latest edition of the Controversial Mom podcast came out last night. Yes,
and it's somewhat related to what we're going to talk about today. It's almost like we planned it, even though we really didn't. We really didn't.
We really didn't. It was last week, I think, when I said, hey, you want to come on Monday? And so here you are. But yeah, it was perfect timing. Folks can find your podcast on our YouTube channel, also on our website, rightsidemedia.org. But you're doing a great job with that, by the way.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Thank you. I like the name of it, The Controversial Mom. I think that's hilarious.
When I told my mom about it, she laughed in my face.
Because she knew it was true. Because you were probably a controversial daughter growing up, weren't you?
100%.
All right. Hey, I don't know if you heard this. I know that you've been a champion for what I would call conservative mom causes for the last several years. And but I've got an article here from townhall.com. Came out yesterday or the day before. And it says that over the last few years, the Department of Education under the Biden administration spent just over $1 billion, that's billion with a B, $1 billion on DEI and SEL, social emotional learning issues. Give me your immediate thought to that.
Yeah, it makes my blood boil, and that should tell people exactly how dangerous this stuff is. If Biden and his cronies wanted to invest that kind of money into a program that indoctrinates your kids and turn them against your family.
Yeah, I mean, basically, look at the source, right?
Yep.
It was almost like unfettered attempts on the part of the Biden administration to try and get to our kids, and it's because they know they're impressionable. They know they haven't developed their critical, thinking yet, and they're not always able to screen out, especially when an authority figure in their life, like a teacher, is telling them, hey, we got a grant. We're going to teach you some new things. It's called SEL. This is awesome. And the kid goes, okay. But the parents would never have approved of it.
No, not at all. If parents knew half of what I've uncovered and learned in the past year, they would pull their kids out of public school and homeschool them. I mean, SEL is truly the foundational attack on parental rights all across the country, and especially in our state because no one knows it's there. But it's truly foundational in all these other programs that truly they do undermine kids' thinking. And it does this, and I know I've ranted about it so many times, you and your audience. It teaches tolerance and acceptance. And that sounds innocent, except for when you get into high school, and you hear a lot of high school parents now say this, that their children are very protective of anyone that identifies as gay. They've almost become this group that all people have to protect because they've been trained that, no, you have to protect those people because they're being attacked by society.
Yeah.
Well, you should love those people, but that doesn't mean you accept those lifestyles. If you're a Christian and you believe in the Bible, then you know that is not acceptable in God's eyes, so we should not accept that.
I've said many times there's a vast difference between condemning or not condemning and then condoning. There's a big difference. You don't have
Yeah,
to.
I like that.
You can not condemn and at the same time not condone. It's possible.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. This is a bit of an aside, but since we talked about SEL, remind everybody exactly what SEL is for those who aren't familiar.
It's essentially unlicensed therapy. So it focuses on regulating emotions, and this starts in pre-K. This is not something just for high school. It starts literally when kids get into any federally funded educational institution, and it teaches them to regulate their emotions, to deal with conflict management. And, my son was in third grade last year. They did a whole lesson around their emotions and how do you feel in certain situations? What do you do if you're in those situations? And it sounds very innocent, except for the fact that if a child has any type of discomfort, I'm not even going to say trauma, if they've just got something that upsets them, like, well, my mom got mad at me and spanked me because I didn't clean my room, then they have to talk about this in this group therapy style class, and they're exposing, what is private and personal to them in front of an entire group, which is very traumatic and causes long-term damage because they're having to talk about their emotions. Well, how did that feel when your mom did that? What would you like to do to not feel that way? It's it's therapy. It really is. It's group therapy with kids that parents have no clue that it's going on. So how does a parent counter that if you don't know that it's even happening?
What's crazy is I had another article here, and I feel like I feel like I'm even kind of getting a field from our original attempt to talk, but it's so good. It's good stuff. I've got the same article, the one from Town Hall, actually has a major poll that was done just about a month and a half ago, and it says that 90% of parents believe that schools ought to just focus on math and reading and other vital subjects instead of all these social cultural issues. And my thought is, who are these other 10%?
Right?
Who are the ones that think that's not what school's for? And by the way, keep them away from my kids.
Yes, keep them away from all kids. Yeah, it's such a wild and bizarre concept for parents to expect their kids to actually be taught basics when they go to school. And we were going to talk about Susansville, but the other thing with SEL and what it leads into is this thing called the whole child approach. And this is in Alabama schools. Alabama Department of Education has a website for it, so confirmed it is in our state. But the whole child approach is truly that schools are treating the whole child, emotionally, socially, academically, physically, medically. So in this, it's somewhere in Tuscaloosa. I'll have to go find the details on it again. But it's a health care clinic that is attached to the school system. So if you send your child to school, you think they're going to get an education or, worst case, they're getting some SEL program. But in these situations where the health care clinic is built into the school as part of the whole child approach, they now have unlimited access to health care. While you parent think your child's going to school for math and reading, they're going and meeting with a health care clinic.
Yeah.
Down the hall.
Well, okay, and so let's jump into that for a minute. There's a bill right now, and I've got the Senate version, Senate Bill 58. In fact, Sam Gavan, who's on this show multiple times, he's one of the chief sponsors of it. In fact, he's the lead sponsor of it. Senate Bill 58. This is the one, and by the way, I was in the Senate for 8 years, and I've never knew this, and it didn't even really arise. And it's one of those things we discovered during COVID, is that state law allows kids as young as 14 to make their own medical decisions. I've never heard that before until most recently. And so this bill would change that, right?
Yeah, not even does it allow them, it kicks the parent out of the room. Literally, we've had parents come to us and say, I took my child to the pediatrician, and it's a 14-year-old child, to the pediatrician, and they made me leave the room because they said I was not legally allowed to be there. This mom is just like, what universe? And I'm like, yeah, it's the law in Alabama. To make this very even more maddening, Alabama has the lowest age of medical consent than any other state in the country.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
I'm trying to figure out how long this has been in law. In fact, I need to go back and just research the amendment to the state code that we're looking at trying to fix here. But this is literally an amendment to state code that right now under existing law, I'm reading it says a minor who is at least 14 years of age or who has graduated high school or who is married may give legal consent to medical, dental, and mental health services for himself or herself. And I'm thinking, what? My kids, so they're not even old enough to drive yet. And yet we're saying the law in Alabama is going to assign to them the rights to make their own medical decisions. And by the way, that whatever doctor kicked the parents out of the room, go get a new doctor.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you the billing clerk at that doctor's office is going to send mom and dad the bill, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
and whose insurance was on it? Mom and dad. And who was the point of contact for emergencies? Mom and dad. So go get another doctor. Don't even stand for that.
Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I tell this story all the time. I have a friend in New Jersey was complaining that last year their legislator passed a law that reduced their medical age of consent from 18 down to 16. So New Jersey reduced theirs, and yet their age is still higher than Alabama's. I would love for someone to explain to me how Ruby Red, Alabama, hasn't passed this bill 15 years ago.
Well,
it's just absurd.
I'll tell you why. Because 15 years ago, it was a Democrat-controlled bastion. It was not until 2011 that the Republicans took the state house. And I'll tell you right now, it was not until 2020 during COVID that anyone even knew this thing was buried in the law. There's no telling how long it's been there. But I don't think it got put in since Republicans have been in charge of the state house. But my question is, what are you hearing right now? Are Republicans going to change it?
They're trying. The medical association's trying really hard to combat this. Because, Phil, we have bad parents. And when you've got bad parents, then 14-year-olds need to make their own medical decisions. That's literally what they told our legislatures. Well, sometimes you've got bad parents. So going back to my podcast from several weeks ago, who's determining what's a bad parent?
Yeah.
Me not putting my child on an antidepressant does not make me a bad parent. That doesn't mean he gets full authority to then make his decisions.
This is madness. I tell you what, they ought to incorporate an amendment into the legislation that says that in the event that, or run a companion legislation that says that in the event that that the point of contact for the insurance policy for which billing would occur is not allowed to be present for the decision making, that they cannot bill it. And I guarantee you the medical association would change their tune real quick if that passed.
Yep, 100% they would, because it is ultimately all about the money.
So for all of you out there listening, in case you didn't hear, we're breaking it to you right now that buried in state law has been a provision that is trying to be changed right now that allows 14-year-olds to make their own medical decisions. And by the way, that's medical, dental, and mental health, right?
Yep, it's all of it. It's 14-year-olds. There's a carve-out in there for young girls that want to get tested if they're pregnant or get on birth control, which I go back and forth on that one. I understand the carve-out, but also I hate it because as a parent, you should get to know that. But we've got to fix it. I mean, the medical, dental, mental health, and it spells out a lot with mental health. It actually starts attacking some of the components of SEL, which is good. It needs to go further, but if we have to chip away at it, it is what it is. But this at least starts moving parents back into the driver's seat far more than they have been for decades.
Yeah, and we can't, in my opinion, we can't be a state. It makes no sense. Our laws are supposed to be congruent, right? They're supposed to be even across the board. And if our laws say you can't drive till you're 16, you can't sign a contract until you're 19, you can't join the military till you're 18, you can't, have a drink until you're 21. If all those things are true, then why would our law then allow a major decision about medical treatment be allowed at 14? Because that's below the age of consent. I mean, statutory rape occurs at 14 years
right.
old. So
exactly.
You can't even consent to have relations, but yet you can consent to have medical treatment for the relations. What is going on with that?
Yep. Nobody's paid attention until now.
Well, we see it now. And I also see that I just ran long and I'm about to go into a break. So, Emily Jones, host of the Controversial Mom podcast, we appreciate you as always. Stay in the fight and we'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Thank you. Have a good week.
All right, see you. Got to run to a break. Man, I ran long. Take it to a break there, JP. We'll come right back. I'm going to keep harping on this, you guys. Y'all need to get mad about this. This is gross. This is weird. This has to get changed. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Man, saving the world one soundbite at a time. All right, listen, so the bill, if you're not familiar with it, the Alabama legislature is in right now. And Senator Gavan from Huntsville has the bill, Senate Bill 58, that is designed to change the law so that you have to be 18 years old to be able to give consent for medical, dental, or mental health services. And I see no problem with that. Now, it does say, like, basically if they're married, they've been emancipated from their family. Like, I've seen it. I knew one guy who got parental consent to join the military at 17. So there are a few legal exceptions, but for the most part, you will not have, mental health counseling, vaccines, be, engaged in any kind of other medical treatment for like child, not child, but I'm trying to say sexual health and things like, abortion counseling or whatever else. None of that until you're 18 years old, unless there's parental consent involved. That needs to happen. It's one of those things you find in the law, you're like, God, if I had known that when I was there. I mean, my word, this is unbelievable. But nonetheless, it's there. It's Senate Bill 58. Here's the thing. I encourage you to find your local representative or senator and tell them this bill just makes too much good sense and you really, really need to get this done. So Senate Bill 58, Senator Gavan from Huntsville is the lead sponsor. And it was just recently introduced. I mean, they're brand new. It just started the session last week, so there's plenty of time. But this should be a low-hanging fruit kind of bill. And the Medical Association is apparently opposing it. I need somebody to tell me why. I mean, like somebody from the Medical Association. Tell me why. Why would you not? Why would you go down the road of defending something like 14-year-olds making their own medical determinations? That's messed up. That clearly indicates that you need to be able to worm your way into a kid's life without parents being involved for reasons that parents don't want. That's the only reason why you do it. There's no other way around it. Don't try and say, well, it's very important that children have a safe space. Bull crap. There is no such thing as an adult giving a child life-changing advice without parental consent unless they have a predator mindset. In other words, we think the kids need to hear from us more than you, mom and dad. And don't think when I say predator, I'm just talking about like human trafficking and sexual misconduct. Preying upon kids is sometimes preying upon their decision-making processes, preying upon their fears and concerns, preying upon their vulnerabilities. If you're a doctor and you're advising young children without parental consent, shame on you and go find a new job. There, I've spoken. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I'm talking about big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. Oh, yeah, and that prettiest little town on the plains down there at Auburn. How dare I forget? Yeah, by the way, we're just excited about the way that we're expanding around here. Love the fact that so many of y'all listen to us on radio. A bunch of people have said, hey, are you not on that 101.1 again out of Birmingham? Nope, we're not. That contract, we decided not to renew it as of January 1. But we got a ton of people now that stream it online because we do live stream the show, audio and video, on multiple platforms, not the least of which is X, which, former Twitter, now on Facebook. We're also on our website, rightsidemedia.org. We're on YouTube. I mean, it's all over the place. So if you want to see inside the studio, if you want to track the show, if you want to listen to it no matter where you are in the whole wide world, go to the World Wide Web and find Rightside Media, and you'll find the show. It's on every single day on every one of those platforms. So thank you very much for that.
By the way, you can find his Twitter. It's just Phil Williams. That's just the name of it. And
that's Facebook.
That's Facebook, yes. The one that we just now got access back to. But we're not just going to be live streaming the show. We're going to be posting content regularly there.
Yeah,
so come
absolutely.
check it out.
Yeah, if y'all are Facebookers, we're back. Got my account back.
We've been granted access back by Zuckerberg, who's seen the light.
It's just. I mean, like, I've had that account for years, had thousands of followers on it, and then all of a sudden, like, bam, locked out, couldn't get in. Like, how did we get back in? None of the passwords worked. Oh, wait a minute. We've actually been locked out. It's like effectively deplatformed. We went into some kind of Facebook purgatory. Well, we just got it back, baby. So I like them apples. Tammy from Adiana just texted in. This would make me like layers of mad. She says, regarding that conversation we just had a moment ago with Emily Jones and all, she says, I got a bill from my 17-year-old daughter's doctor saying that my insurance company did not pay for an EKG. So I called my health insurance that I'm paying for, and they told me they could not tell me anything unless my 17-year-old daughter gave them permission to talk to me about why they didn't pay it. Are you kidding me with this? Tammy, that is awful. I don't know what insurance company you have, and you don't have to call them out, but listen, I mean, if you're the point of contact and the bill is paid for by you, then you should be the senior person on any decision making, not just as a matter of being the mom, but also because you're the one paying the bill. Good gosh. And I'm not saying like employers need to know everything about, how their employees use the insurance, but the reality is that's for a parent, holy cow. Bo from Madison liked Emily Jones. I'm sorry. Oh, he liked the text you sent. Oh, you sent him a text. He was asking, he said, I was at Huntsville High School with my 14-year-old last month. They brought in the paperwork for him to sign for surgery. Also had a nurse walk in and announced to him that they were going to give him fentanyl. Last thing we want is a teen being introduced to a drug they're not aware of, or they're aware of, the drug that they are aware of and can find on the street. And then wants to know about how to, hear more about Emily Jones and stuff. And you told him already. Bo, that's crazy, man. Brought in paperwork for him to sign for surgery in school. Wow. He said Huntsville Hospital. I think I said Huntsville High School. Huntsville Hospital.
I think HH is Huntsville Hospital, yeah.
So he had to sign it as a 14-year-old. I get it now. That's messed up. Good Lord. Brian from Decatur says, what I find horrible is the sick men and women that allow the age for sexual consent in the state to be 16 years old. A lot of people and parents don't even know this. Yeah, you're right. I could see it being older than that. Statutory rape is what you're referring to, Brian. And it's that way because it's by statute. They set an age by statute. What's crazy is, if you think about what I said a minute ago, the law in Alabama allows a 14-year-old to make their own healthcare decisions, which can include getting birth control pills, which can include getting advice on, contraceptives and even abortions as a 14-year-old, but yet they're not considered old enough to give consent to actually have sexual contact until they're 16 years old under the law. Tell me that makes no sense. Good Lord. John from Huntsville says, by the way, Phil, did you see what Ted Nugent said about the halftime show on Twitter? He didn't like it. I'm sure it was colorful. What did Uncle Ted say?
Oh, no. It literally just said, Kendrick Lamar, you suck. That was the tweet. And it got like 80,000 likes.
Wow. Okay. Well, Uncle Ted. I like Uncle Ted's music
Yes.
a lot more than Kendrick Lamar's, just personally. And here's the thing. I'm going to chase that rabbit for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, John from Huntsville, but I'm going to chase this rabbit. I get the fact that Kendrick Lamar is super popular, has a big following, right? I do. Let me ask you this. The vast majority of people who watch the Super Bowl, the vast majority, especially the ones who pay big money to go to the Super Bowl, let's take those first. How many of the Kendrick Lamar set do you believe are the ones who can afford the ticket to the Super Bowl to be there for the live show? Do you think it's a vast majority or not a vast majority?
You're asking how many people went just for the halftime show?
No, I'm asking how many people could afford to buy a ticket to the Super Bowl, which includes the halftime show, are also Kendrick Lamar fans.
Oh, it depends on the age. I mean, obviously, majority of the people my age, yes, but not within like the age group of, I would say most people over like 30, probably not a lot. No.
Yeah. And I think most people who can afford to buy a ticket like that are going from a different generation who look at it and go, this is what I paid for? Bring somebody out that I know. So here's my point is bring somebody out that we know. And I say we, I'm part of the we, and granted, I'm an old guy. But I look at it and think, okay, it was high production quality. He's very popular with, some age group. But the majority of the age groups, including the majority of the people who watch and or buy tickets to these games, are not Kendrick Lamar fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, but then if you go to the flip side, if they brought out somebody like, I don't know, name some band of like that a lot of the older generation, then you have a bunch of people my age be like, bring somebody out there that I know, All
right, like what about somebody like Morgan?
Morgan Wallen.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah,
Morgan Wallen. He's kind of a cross-generational guy. He's all American. I realize I'm not saying I don't want a rapper. I don't want a black artist. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that was a show that the vast majority of people are looking at going, I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's always going to be critics no matter what. I don't know. I think maybe the people who did not like it are willing to be more vocal than like, I don't know. I like this, so it's hard for me to analyze. I don't know what their line of thinking is. I think he's very popular culturally, but I think you also have a point of majority of people who actually went to the game probably did not enjoy. I don't know.
Now, high production quality, yes, it was. And what's funny to me is I couldn't understand a word he was saying or singing, but I knew the car he was standing on when it started off.
Yeah.
I remember when there was a Buick Regal. I remember when Buick Regals were brand new. And I'm looking at it going, okay, that's a car of my generation at the very least. But if somebody was standing on my hood, I'd be having a problem with it.
Yeah.
And that's my old man thought for the whole thing.
Which, by the way, part of the reason why the halftime show kind of blew up with, certain demographics was, I don't know if I don't know if you were aware, Kendrick Lamar and Drake had a big beef in the rap world. And I think the second to last song he played was a diss song to Drake that blew up, that Drake actually sued like defamation against him for. And apparently Kendrick was not supposed to play that song, but yet he still did that song anyways, and it's blown up of Drake sued him for defamation, and I think Kendrick may have gone against legal counsel to play that song and played it anyways.
Okay. Jeff from Athens says, I never watched the Super Bowl. That way I can fast forward to the halftime show. Okay. Well, you can't fast forward, but you're not on. Greg from Athens says, the older people who could afford a ticket went to the restroom. That's the crying shame of it. Listen, I mean, I'm not even a Bruce Springsteen fan, but he was cross-generational. and he was there. And then how many shows have we had over the? Michael Jackson is the one who's like. In fact, the ratings on Michael Jackson's halftime show wound up being bigger than the game itself. And he was a multi-generational act. I just feel like they missed the boat by not trying to find somebody that was multi-generational.
Yeah, but how many older people, during when you were a kid, if somebody you would have been like, I don't know who this guy is, and then and then nowadays it's I don't know. I feel like
what I'm saying is they used to pick people that we all knew.
I don't know if there's that many in today, honestly. Like, how many people are there today, like a Michael Jackson type, that are popular with multi-generations?
Oh, JP. Anita from Hatton, Alabama, just texted in and says, if I can't understand it, I don't want to hear it. There you go. All right. We will agree to disagree. You like Kendrick Lamar. I didn't know who he was.
Well, like I said,
I'm like, Kendrick who?
Yeah, I mean,
cool jacket, man.
If it's not your music, you're not gonna like it. I feel like that's how it is with whoever plays it. So
I'm pretty sure that's true of the vast majority of people who watched the Super Bowl yesterday. And that's not hater on anything other than I don't get it. Ryan from Hazel Green says, "Let's be real." Okay, he says that was a DEI halftime show. There you go.
He's a very popular artist.
He's very popular. And I saw somebody else said he's got 80 million streams. No. He's got 80 million streams does not constitute 80 million fans. And oh, by the way, they're not all in the United States. And oh, by the way, most of them didn't buy a ticket to the Super Bowl, much less watch it on TV. So anyway, I just think if you're going to put that much money in, and by the way, I wonder how much they paid to have all that put together.
Oh, yes. I wonder how much they paid him to do it. It's probably a lot, too.
That, too. Steve from Huntsville says, Prince played in the rain, one of my favorite halftime shows. Yes. And he was an entertainer that went across generations. Anyway, wow. Okay, listen, I got lots of stuff. We're going to jump into a new topic in a minute called the DOGE doings. Y'all stand by. DOGE. Y'all, I got some DOGE doings you're going to. We may have to play that new sound effect. I feel like we should. At the very least.
We haven't played it in, 2 days?
It'll make up for the fact that you like the halftime show. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just giving you all the truth you can slap on a bumper sticker. That's what I'm saying. All right, so I'm going to the next dipper here. Dipper number 2 for the day, the DOGE doings. I almost called this the DOGE droppings. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. That would imply that I don't like what I'm seeing. Because right now, y'all, DOGE is it. DOGE is the buzz. DOGE has got DC on its heels. DOGE is like real. And and you got a sound effect for that. Do you have a sound effect for that? Play that sound effect.
DOGE. DOGE.
You're still very proud of that one, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that might be my best accomplishment while being here.
That's actually Elon Musk's voice in the middle of it.
Yep.
It's perfect. So you might want to know a couple things that have happened over the weekend. I mean, like right now, it's every day. I thought that at first, and I think everybody thought that at first, DOGE would start and they'd start reviewing things that were sent to them to be able to look at. And do-si-do-si-do, they go through this department, and about a year later they go, well, time to start a new department, so why don't we do-si-do-si-do on over there? And that's not happening, man. It's like, holy crap, the DOGE team showed up at the front door and came in like a whirling dervish, like the Tasmanian devil, just swirling through the room, just going and looking in the books and peeking underneath the table skirts and seeing what's there. All the ingredients of the secret sauce. And everybody's like, holy crap, DOGE is here and they're looking at everything. Yeah, they really, really are. But then at the same time, they showed up down the street. How'd they get in 2 places at one time? I don't know, but they're there. And then they're doing it again down the street, and then they're doing it across town. And then, oh, by the way, it's like DOGE is everywhere. And they're just finding stuff. And it's freaking liberals out. I mean, like, freaking liberals out. They don't know what hit them right now. You know why? Because the gravy train just went away. That's why. All of a sudden, you took their slop trough. And everybody who's been just bellied up to the bar, just snorting away, is suddenly realizing the jig is up. And we can't just write checks for any and every weird thing that progressives love to use your tax dollars for. So here's one, and I pulled this off a live set. This came out Friday afternoon, I believe. The Musk DOGE team exposed a $100 billion scandal and the DC swamp is shaken. That's the headline. There's a headline for you. Can you imagine a more prolific headline? DOGE team exposes a $100 billion scandal, DC swamp shaken. What, are you about to say something?
So I second that. It's like you said, they're shaking because, let's just put it this way, they wouldn't be shaking if it wasn't effective. You know,
yeah.
It's like their response, their over exaggerative and overly dramatic response shows just how bad it really was.
I'm gonna bet there's any number of whispered backroom conversations. Do you think he knows? I don't know. Is he gonna find the file? I don't know. Did you get it before you walked in? No, I couldn't get to it before he walked in. Is my name on it? I don't know. Did you delete the emails? I didn't. That's happening everywhere right now.
I'm going to steal Bongino's saying of value what you're doing by your opponent's response to it. It's like their response shows all that needs to know.
That's all you need to know, man. Mm-hmm. The freak out right now is directly compared to the level of the problem. Here's the piece I got from LifeSet. It says, under President Trump's newly formed DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, Musk and his team have now identified a staggering $100 billion in wasteful spending buried within the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That's CMS. Listen, I knew this was a problem because, it cites in the article, and we see it all the time. Like in June 2024, the DOJ charged 193 different defendants including 76 of which were medical professionals, for a $2.75 billion fraud scheme. This is medical overbilling. This is medical fraud. This is Medicaid and Medicare. And since 2007, there have been uncovered a mind-boggling $27 billion in fraudulent spending. Okay. DOGE is saying they got in the door and grabbed the files and began looking through it, and they believe they've identified already $100 billion in Medicaid or Medicare fraud. And what's interesting is they didn't go in there for that. And that's what's crazy. They went in there to look for cost-saving measures. And the article even points that out. They went in there to start looking at what they could do for cost-saving measures, and it escalated into this damning report now that they're putting together that shows they believe they can identify $100 billion in fraud that has not been dealt with. Y'all, that's game-changing if it's true. I mean, good Lord. How do we even, can they ever recoup it? I don't know. Is it something that shouldn't have happened, like you're talking about double payments? I don't know. Are we talking about things that were not sanctioned but they got paid anyway? I don't know. All I know is DOGE has been pretty accurate so far, and DOGE is saying that within a short amount of time, they've identified massive numbers that even have them on their heels. And we'll see where it goes. Now, the DOGE activities and the things that are happening right now, especially with regards to Treasury, are really ramping up and getting very interesting. And first of all, here's the other piece of this, to borrow again from Bongino. Yes, when they're fighting back that hard, you know something's up. That's my paraphrase. But the reality is this, the legal fights have already been launched almost immediately. There are multiple lawsuits trying to stop what DOGE is doing. Why? Because the freak out is directly related to the level of involvement by the people who are freaking out. I guarantee you. We'll talk about it more in a minute. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 3 on a Meatloaf Monday. That's us right here. Talking food, baby. But anyway, yeah, Meatloaf Monday. That's where we are. And I'm in number 2 of the Triple Dipper, the DOGE doings. And before I jump back in, I got to remind you guys, the Rightside Media, that's our parent company, the Rightside Media merch store just went live. But only for the moment, only if you are subscribed to our Rightside Report. It's our daily email blast that goes out. It's free. We're not selling the list. You're not going to get spammed, nothing like that. All I'm saying is we send out this email blast every day to thousands of people called the Rightside Report, and it has like what's coming on the show today, advanced looks at podcasts, content you can find about different topics, and sometimes I have a poll at the bottom, you know, just kind of cool stuff that keeps Rightside ruffians in tune with where we are. But what we decided to do as the merch store was going live this week was to say, you know what? For those folks who've been subscribed to our Rightside Report, let's give them first dibs. So first dibs, they're already out, and people are already ordering stuff, by the way. So yeah, we got T-shirts, we got hats, we got coffee mugs, and my favorite, we have the Rightside Bulletproof Influence highball glasses, which are very cool. They have an embedded 308 round in the side of the glass. It's very cool. If you want to get the newsletter, if you want to get in there real quick and see the merch store before the rest of the world does, then all you got to do is this phone number that a bunch of y'all are still texting into, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Just text one word, newsletter, and you'll get an automatic response back that gives you the chance to sign up in the newsletter. And as soon as you get it, you'll be seeing the merch store. So yeah, all the Rightside Ruffian merchandise coming available to you. And we'll be doing that just for Rightside Report subscribers for the next few days. So check it out. I'm actually pretty stoked about that, to be honest with you. That's fun, just to me.
Yeah, the merch is looking pretty sick so far.
It is, and I I don't know. It just sort of feels like we've arrived. We have merch.
Yeah.
We've always had some, but we used an outside source that was just not as compatible with our customer service and our desire to be, you know, quick and get things to people. And so we went with an internal merchandise, and Natalie's running merchandise. Butter's got it all set up as an online store. We ordered and stocked the shelves, and we're ready to go. All right. Let's jump back into the number 2 of the Triple Dipper, DOGE doings. Something happened this weekend that I'm going to confess was not on my radar. What's crazy is all the things that it impacts were on my radar. I just didn't have it tied together until the reports began to surface this weekend about what the Trump administration and DOGE are doing to an organization called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Well, Phil, don't they protect consumers? They used to. The CFPB, much like USAID, was a neat idea that somebody had one time and decided they needed a whole bunch of taxpayer money to do their gig. And just like everything else, somewhere along the way, liberals got hold of it and said, hey, there's money in here, man. There's a lot of money in here. What can we do with it? Let's make sure it's all agenda driven. Okay. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, just got doged this weekend. And I mean, they got doged hard. And it's not just DOGE, it's actually an actual Trump appointee who's doing it as well. So what happened? Here's the deal. I've got a copy of the letter. Let me just grab that real quick. So just this past weekend, Trump has just recently appointed a guy named Russell Vought. Vought is the new acting director of CFPB. One of the first things that Trump did was he fired the previous executive director of the CFPB. He just got his guy put in there. So he now has Treasury Secretary Besant, and now he's got Russ Vought, who's head of the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. Just stay with me here. And then he went ahead and assigned, in the absence of the old director who they fired, he assigned Russell Vought the additional task of being the acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Great. What did they do? Well, this weekend, it turns out what we're finding is that hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars go into CFPB every year and they don't come back out. And they don't go through the congressional appropriation. What do you mean? Aren't they a public? Yes, they are, sort of. They were set up to have no congressional oversight. I mean, that's actual part of their charter. They have no congressional oversight, and they don't get their money through budget appropriations. They get their money direct from the Federal Reserve. What? I didn't know that either. They get their money direct from the Federal Reserve. Tranches of money are once a year allocated by law from the Federal Reserve to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in an amount to be determined necessary for the operations by the director. The new director is Russ Vought. The new director said, yeah, here's the deal. We don't need any money. And everybody's on their heels. Like all of DC is like, what just happened? He just went in there and said, we don't need any money. I thought we were going to transfer hundreds of millions. Well, Russ Vought got in there, and the first thing he saw was they have a revolving balance. In other words, an overage account. They've been saving money and not spending it all and still troughing up to the slop trough for more every year. They have $711 million plus in an account right now, and they were still asking for more. And so he stopped that. He said, I want a $0 transfer. Boom. Then what did he do? He sent all the staff home. What? Yes, he did. He told the staff not to report on Monday. He said this entire week that the CFPB would be closed. I mean, I'm looking at it. I got it right here. Don't come to work, basically. In an email sent to staff, here's an article from Town Hall. On Sunday, the CFPB's chief operating officer said the Bureau's headquarters would be closed from February 10th through the 14th. I've got a copy of a Twitter post, X post, by Russell Vought himself. He said this. I'm going to read it to you. Pursuant to the Consumer Financial Protection Act, I have notified the Federal Reserve CFPB will not be taking its next draw of unappropriated funding because it is not reasonably necessary to carry out its duties. The Bureau's current balance of $711.6 million is in fact excessive, he said, in the current fiscal environment. This spigot, long contributing to CFPB's unaccountability, is now being turned off. Those are his words. Have we ever seen anything like this, ever, in the annals of American history?
I don't remember of anybody actually cutting down government.
I mean, like in the history of ever.
Yeah, it's like they may say they're for cutting down government. I think this is the first administration that's actually backing up what they're saying that they're going to do.
And they're backing it up with, they're not using a scalpel, they're using a blunt
bulldozer,
object.
A bulldozer.
So let me tell you, I got an article here from Red State. And the headline says a lot. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website goes dark and the wood chipper warms up. That came out over the weekend. All this happened over the weekend, by the way. And I'm sure that liberals right now are in freakout mode because Congress can't say boo about it because they don't have oversight authority. That was their own doing, thank you very much. So they have no ability to stop it. They have no ability to tell them to spend money or not spend money because they just had the money turned off by the person who by law is allowed to make the decision, which is the director, which is Russell Vought. I mean, this is chess, dude. This is the queen just went ahead and put the king in checkmate on, at least on the CFPB. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website went dark, says Red State, as the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought was named the acting director of CFPB. And DOGE began its audit. Wow. Along with Vought, it says, came a team from DOGE. Hit me that. I want some DOGE sound effect. Just play it. Just go ahead and do it.
DOGE.
Perfect. Perfect. Trump administration was to fire the acting director of CFPB right away, and they did, and appoint newly confirmed Russ Vought. Russ Vought, who Thursday was confirmed by the Senate, emailed top staff at the agency, apparently familiar with the matters of law at hand, and told them all, don't come to work. Now, what is CFPB and why do we care? We're going to take a break right now. When we come right back, I'm going to curl your hair with what this organization has been a part of, what has been happening in our economy because of this organization having access without accountability to unfettered amounts of your tax dollars and what it's done to people left and right. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. Hey, by the way, I got to just tell you guys, check out Emily Jones, who was on the show earlier, her latest edition of her podcast with Rightside Media, because we have multiple podcasters, is The Controversial Mom. It came out last night. I also got mine in the can, filmed it over the weekend. But The Right Philosophy comes out on Wednesday. So all said and done, we got everything firing on all cylinders here at Rightside Media, and we're glad you guys are a part of it. So the CFPB, let's talk about this for a minute. Why are we concerned? What did they do? I mean, why were they so bad? Well, let's just go ahead and say this. Picture all the things that we hate as right-side ruffians, like the heavy hand of government, like over-regulation of the private industry, like misuse and abuse of tax dollars, like censorship. And let's put them all in one place. And that would be the CFPB. What do I mean? Well, they were founded, I believe, in 2008, the 2008 financial crisis. They were founded, and they were supposed to be this big overseer, making sure that Wall Street excesses would never, harm the common man again. And then they diverged sharply from that. Obama began to quickly figure out he could do stuff with them. But the CFPB was actually structured to be free of oversight, which is crazy. I mean, they're getting millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars, and there's no oversight. They're not funded through congressional appropriations. So they got this immense regulatory power. They got no oversight, and they have complete financial autonomy. So they could care less. Congress has the power of the purse, except when they don't control the purse, because their money came straight from the Federal Reserve. What? Yes. So CFPB got very involved in DEI and in ESG. DEI, we all talk about the most here most recently, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's basically all the liberal agendas. That's their platform umbrella area, right? That's the covering they all go under. Where they put it into play in the business world is in ESG, environmental, social, and governance initiatives. What is that? That's basically where they look at you and go, is your company woke enough? Hey, Disney, did you speak out on that bill in the Florida legislature? Hey, Google, did you make sure that you spoke up about the LGBTQ agenda? Hey, I don't pick one. Just find one. Any of them. Hey, Lowe's. Hey, Walmart. Hey, Coca-Cola. Hey, Delta Airlines. Hey, all of you. Did you guys do enough to promote the Green New Deal? Did you push for EVs? Did you? Because if you didn't, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau may have something to say about the people who do your banking. Excuse me? Yes, debanking became one of the tactics that the CFPB helped to promote. It's called ideological compliance. Under ESG, the CFPB was promoting regulatory burdens that created the ability then for ESG to be implemented to debank conservatives. You had gun manufacturers, you had any number of companies that seemed to have like a oil and gas related industry, all finding out they could no longer bank with their bank that they've been with forever. Why would that be? Because that bank was being forced into ESG compliance by groups like the ones at CFPB, using your tax dollars. They even threatened enforcement actions against people who didn't toe the line to their level. So there's also allegations, none of which have been proved, but there's allegations. There's a sense right now that any number of times they also funded groups. What does that mean? Well, the CFPB would get involved in litigation. And as what happens sometimes, and I've seen it happen with attorney general's offices and stuff like that, as what happens at times, when a lawsuit by a public entity is prevailed upon, it wins basically, the winnings can then be either assumed or assigned. And in this case, more often than not, we saw things like out of litigation, The CFPB decided to allocate $10 million of the winnings to the National Community Reinvestment Coalition. They do financial activism, their political lobbying efforts. About $5 million to Unidos. What is that? Well, they're all into voter outreach and immigration policy. What about $3 million that went to the Center for Responsible Lending? What is that? Well, they're progressive financial policies that line up with Democrat ideals. All these things were happening because the CFPB was making it happen. And they routinely, by the way, refused to answer FOIA requests. So, oh, by the way, then we begin to wonder, are we really seeing money going into Act Blue? What is Act Blue? That is the major funding arm of the Democrat Party. Maybe, we don't know yet. So I'm going to tell you right now, what they've done has got to continue. They immediately cut off the slop to the trough, all right? There is no more on the buffet in terms of money from Treasury because they gave them a zero balance for this particular appropriation. They also sent all the staff home. They also fired the director, and they replaced him with somebody who was following the idea of streamlining government and reducing waste, fraud, and abuse. Y'all, this has been epic. And oh, by the way, it's just Monday. That all happened since Friday afternoon. Can you imagine? 1,798 employees were told, don't come back to work on Monday. Oh, by the way, we took down the website. Oh, by the way, we cut off your funding. Oh, by the way, we're auditing the books. How do you like us now? And that happened on Friday afternoon. It's like we're moving at the speed of light right now. This is like flying Napa the earth with the doors open in a Huey. I'm just saying, you are just at treetop level, just screaming over the jungles.
A DOGE tornado.
It's a DOGE tornado. Mm-hmm. It's a DOGE tsunami. Play it one more time before we go. You got to.
I can't. The music's about to start playing. Right
oh, man. Well, nonetheless, there you go. Listen, we'll come right back. I got a whole bunch of text messages to catch up on. Hope some of you guys are signing up for the newsletter. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. I will be right back. out there. You are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right.
Turn it up.
And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga, from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. Big old patches of Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for a good measure. And oh, by the way, down yonder, that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. Yes, indeed, we got quite the footprint going, and we're going to add more to it. I can feel it. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Ken from Harvest says we ought to call it the DOGE NATO.
I like it.
I like the DOGE NATO. Matt from Madison says, hey, Phil, we'll be getting a full refund for the misuse of our tax money. I doubt it. Let's wait and see what happens, though. But you know what, though? Let me say this. Trump is proposing multiple tax cuts right now in conjunction with the House bill that's being put together, the reconciliation bill. I think we're looking at multiple tax cuts. So let's see what happens, man. John from Lexington says, on Friday at midnight, a judge in New York gave a temporary restraining order on DOGE, stopping all political appointees. Yeah, I saw that. So I thank you for saying that. I had one more article I didn't get to a moment ago. John from Lexington, South Carolina, great job. Yes, there is a judge right now that is enjoining much of the activities of DOGE, but not all of them. And in fact, the USAID thing is interesting because there is more congressional oversight over USAID, whereas the CFPB thing, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, does not have congressional oversight. It appears that Trump may be in the clear to move forward on that one. The one thing I did see was the the employees union immediately filed suit. We want to know why we have to sit at home and get paid for doing nothing. Right. There you go. Let me go to the phones real quick. Is that Jeff Rowe? Jeff Rowe from Indiana's on the line. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good right now, except for I'm in the kind of traffic that if Patrick Mahomes would have had this kind of blocking last night, he'd have won the game.
Oh, my soul. Well, all right. So you're sitting there being completely blocked right now is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I just got passed by 3 fire trucks, so yeah, I might be here for a while.
Oh, boy. I hope not, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, tell me what you think about all this stuff. What do you think about the DOGE NATO that we're in right now?
I think I know a good place to put those 89,000 IRS agents now.
Whoop, whoop.
I think they need to go start looking at all the corruption and everything that's been done. If somebody don't go to prison, if we don't start putting people in prison for all this stuff that's going on here, because you know all these payments going on the table and everything, and the Democrats are, there should be some Republicans scared too, but I'd say the majority of Democrats should be shivering in their boots right now because if they figure out who's funding all this money and everything that's going on. But
I think if it's accurate, if what we're seeing about Medicaid and Medicare, that may be the biggest place where actual fraud took place. But if we can also find that there were organizations receiving funds that shouldn't have, and then absolutely, man, somebody needs to go to jail. Yeah. Somebody, please.
That's why I say these IRS agents, they should be, and put on this here and make them DOGE agents, and let them go out here and see where this money was coming from and see who got the money and where the money went to. Because the United States is much more corrupt than the Soviet Union ever thought about being. Because the Soviet Union, if you'd have did this kind of stuff and everything, they knew what was going on. And if you messed up, you was going to the gulag or worse. In this country, we just let it go on and, that's okay. We'll just give somebody a pardon or something maybe. Who knows? Yeah, I mean,
I hear what you're saying. In the Soviet Union, they didn't pretend that they weren't doing it. They just did it and dared you to say something about it. Here in the United States, the stuff happens and it's covered up, and they say that doesn't happen. That's not real until you suddenly get in there and get a chance to see the books. But I think that the way they handled the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, this weekend is, to me, it's like blitzkrieg. It's lightning warfare. They have literally just rolled in the front door and in one weekend sent 1,700 people home and cut off the gravy train and immediately opened the books and started looking. And that kind of quick moving is what it takes. They don't see it coming and they can't stop it once it starts.
I just wonder how many shredders are just been worn out right now because they're getting rid of some of this evidence. And if anybody gets rid of this evidence and you find out about it and everything, they should go to prison for, just put them underneath the prison, I guess it's safe, because we're getting ripped off and we're tired of it, and this stuff is not going to happen anymore.
Yeah. Listen, it can't happen anymore. And if we can find that there has literally been billions and billions and billions of dollars, then I want to know, A, is it recoupable, or at the very least, B, can we reassign the expenditure to something more meaningful, like, I don't know, the southern border or something like that. I mean, or pay raises for our military or something. But this is, you're right, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if we don't take it now, we may never get it again.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like when they look into the Pentagon?
I think there are people shaking in their boots right now, and Pete Hegseth, it's not making a lot of traction right now in terms of the big news headlines, but he gave a speech, I want to say Friday, to key staff in the Pentagon. They have a thing called the Pentagon, like the theater room, like an arena kind of thing where you can sit in there and have big meetings. And he told them, we are going to get to the place that we're passing audits, because they haven't passed an audit in like the last 7 audits. They failed. And they just keep coming back and failing the next year. Nobody ever calls them on it.
Yeah. Well, the Congress somebody needs to kick the Congress's butt and everything. We need a budget. When's the last time they even made a budget instead of this going, just kicking the can down the road like they have been?
Oh, now you're picking on Republicans too. Bipartisan. I like it.
Yeah. The shoe fits, they need to wear it.
That's exactly right. All right, man. Be safe on the road. I hope things unjam for you here real soon.
Yeah, me too. I can get out and walk faster than I'm moving now.
See you, buddy.
Have a good one.
I got to get some text messages here. Susan from Hazel Green loves your bump. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
She says, who let the DOGE out? That's beyond perfect, with laughing emojis. Now get those T-shirts and bumper stickers and sound bites marketed. Susan from Hazel Green.
Maybe we need to make some some merchant with it.
I'm saying. I like it. Thank you, Susan. Ross from Huntsville says, hey, Phil, just FYI, best thing about the Super Bowl was watching Taylor Swift get booed.
Yes.
That really did happen too, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, it did, and I loved it.
Trump got a huge response.
Yeah, Trump got a good pop, and well, I think the best part of it was Taylor Swift, who is just used to getting worshipped. I'm not saying that, dramatically, literally worshipped, like she's a god, and her face reaction to see it when she got booed on the screen was like, what? It was like true shock. Like, people don't like me? It was awesome.
Yeah. And she's going to try and blame it on some haters.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to have a song about it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Haters. I saw a picture. I remember when this is happening too. Kelsey's face was looking pretty grim. And I mean, as the game, they had a couple of minutes left in the game. It was very obvious they weren't going to make it back. They were just playing for score at that point. And I saw somebody later on grab that image of his face and said, he's realizing there's going to be a song about him very soon.
The best one I saw was him yelling in Andy Reid's face, that picture from whenever that was, and said, I was supposed to propose tonight.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Gary from Lester, Alabama says, shore up Social Security. I don't disagree. That's a great idea. Take some of the money we're finding, shore up Social Security. I don't know that we got enough in the pot to shore it up, but I think we can reform some Social Security, though. We're going to have to. We got a brand new texter in the line. His name is Joel. So, Joel, we're glad you're with us. Tell us where you're from so we can put it in. He says, has any Republican called out this money laundering scheme between Treasury and CFPB? If not, I hope those who knew, regardless of party, and kept it quiet are dealt with according to the law. Well, that's what we just spent the last half hour or more talking about, is that very thing. And I think we're going to uncover a lot here in the next few days. I think that DC is on its heels right now, thinking, oh my gosh, they've got the files. Brian from Huntsville says, the DOGE deterrence. Hit the crooks hard and fast to prevent it again. There you go. Ken from Harvest, I already got that one already. Matt from Madison says, hey, Phil. Oh, okay, I'm reading these twice now.
I think we're caught up.
No, we're not. I got a bunch that I got to scroll down and get to them. Michael from Taft, Tennessee. Oh, by the way, I see Dave from Monrovia just signed up for the newsletter. We got good on that? Michael from Taft, Tennessee says, you haven't said anything about the Rightside socks. Are they not in the store? We don't have the Rightside socks anymore, Michael. We did. We had a vendor that made Rightside socks for a while. And if we decide to put them back in, I'll make sure I announce it. Crying Chuck says,
Easy.
Oh. I just realized. Stop. Thank you for screening my text messages. Joe from Huntsville, how about sending us something we can actually read on the air? That'd be great. Paul from Decatur says, hey, Colonel, Paul in Decatur, who let the DOGE out? Theme song for JP, number 1 on the 2025 charts. You're there, man. You're there.
Maybe I should just DJ that for Super Bowl halftime.
I think you ought to at least make sure we get it out there on social media more than once or twice. Jay from Killen says, should part of our response to the Dems regarding DOGE be that Elon isn't actually doing or cutting anything, he's only observing and reporting? All of their hoopla is just that, it's hoopla. That's a great point. I mean, Elon doesn't have authority to cut. He refers things, and then government just gets cut by Trump or by Trump's appointees. But they just hate the fact that somebody could see it. Scott from Somerville says, with regards to our previous topic, not only can a 14-year-old make medical decisions, they can specify who can see their medical records, and the adult or the parent is still financially responsible. It's whacked. That bill's got to pass, man. We got to get that fixed. Jeremy from Madison says, regarding the halftime show, he says, Will Smith, Janet Jackson, and Daft Punk for the halftime show would have been ideal multi-generational. That's a lot. I don't think Will Smith, I think he's lost his mojo. Can he still do Fresh Prince stuff? I mean, is he still the guy? Do you think he can do it?
He was a failed rapper, so why would you bring him back to...
did you just... Wow.
He was. He had to go do acting because he couldn't make it as a musician.
Wow. Okay. Red from Tony, Alabama says, we need a Tom McDonald halftime show. Tom McDonald?
I don't even know who that is.
I'm with you. Colin from Decatur says, if I can't understand what they're saying in the singing at halftime, when they're singing, then it's the musical equivalent of push 1 to continue in English. That's awesome. Sometimes I get text messages and I wish I was the one who had said it. Tammy from Aniana says, oh, that was Blue Cross that did her wrong on her 17-year-old not being allowed. Wow. All right, I saw where Stephen from Athens has signed up for the newsletter. Yeah, listen, I'm going to say this right before the break. If you want to have the advanced look at our merch store, if you want first dibs on what's in the merch store, then you got to be on our newsletter. We're letting only newsletter subscribers have it for the first several days. So our merch store goes live this week. It's already live now, but only for people who are getting the actual newsletter. So you got to get the newsletter. If you don't already have it, then the number that we've got, 833-687-4448, which is also known as 833-68-RIGHT, just text the single word newsletter. You'll get an automatic reply that shows you how to sign up. Bam, you get the newsletter. It has a link, which is right now currently only to newsletter subscribers for the merchandise store. We got hats, we got T-shirts, we got coffee mugs, and we got the Rightside Media Bulletproof Influence highball glasses. Check them out. All right, listen, we're taking a break right now. Last break of the day on Meatloaf Monday. You guys stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just like pulling pins on truth grenades in here. That's what we're doing. By the way, that's the next thing. I think I want a T-shirt that has all these sayings on it. We need that. And then I saw a coffee mug shaped like an actual grenade, and I want one that says "pulling pins on truth grenades," shaped like a grenade.
I've seen that as well.
I'm getting carried away with the store now. I see a bunch of y'all signing up for the newsletter after we said that a moment ago, and I certainly appreciate it. Scott from Decatur takes issue. He says Will Smith was not a failed rapper. He was a failed business person. He accrued so much debt he had to act to pay it off. Well, that's okay.
Then why didn't he rap to pay it off?
Your logic is hard to get around, sir. Graham from Meridianville says that Tom McDonald was YouTube Tom McDonald with Ben Shapiro. And didn't you say somebody said something about him?
Yeah, apparently he's a conspiracy theorist rapper.
A conspiracy theorist rapper.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do? Say like Area 51 got the goods, and what's he gonna do?
He just rhyming conspiracy theorists. I don't know. It's I've never heard of him. I can't say I'm aware.
Okay. Talk about a niche market.
I was to say, if you thought Kendrick Lamar had no fans, I don't think that guy would be.
I'm pretty sure. Roy from Hartselle says, "Who let the Doge out? Trump, 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 Trump." That could have been the sound effect. We got more people calling out, and we appreciate it. And by the way, did you see Joel? Oh, yeah, you already filled it in. Joel, our new texter, is from Huntsville. So, Joel, we're glad you're with us. The grades are in. Let's see what we got here. John from Huntsville says, Jeff from Indiana gets a solid A for his solid phone call, which means today's co-winners are JP and Phil with a Doge-NATO-sized A triple plus. Congratulations. By the way, JP, your show off the bench on Saturday was awesome, even though it was more chaotic than usual. Was it chaotic? How was it chaotic?
We had technical difficulties. I had to do it over the phone on the show.
Oh, that's crazy.
But it was still good. It was still good.
But anyway, yeah. And he goes on to say, also, if you turn Doge-NATO into a song, you should get Carrie Underwood to sing it. It'd be an instant hit. I just don't see that.
No,
I don't think it's her genre.
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure she would have to change the beat and everything.
Oh, by the way, Tim from Madison. Okay, now that I know the Ben Shapiro song, okay. Have you heard Ben Shapiro's rap song called Facts?
No.
it's now I'm
Is that Tom McDonald that does it?
I think he did it with Tom McDonald, and Shapiro had a feature in it. So now I'm connecting the dots here on who this guy is. Yeah. But the Ben Shapiro feature is pretty great, I have to say. He talks fast enough as it is. Ben
Shapiro is like, you think if his brain moves as fast as his lips, then the man is thinking at the speed of Doge.
Yeah, exactly. maybe even slightly faster.
That's what we're going to do from now on. From now on, we're going to say, how fast was that thing? Man, it went at the speed of Doge is what I'm saying. That thing broke the Doge barrier.
The Doge barrier.
The thing was like at Mach Doge. That's all I know. I just cruising.
And like the saying, like a bull in a china shop, it's like a Doge in the china shop.
A Doge in a china. We need to rewrite all of the old cliches.
But what makes it funny is like that was a meme from my middle school, and now everybody's saying it part of the government.
Faster than a speeding Doge, more powerful than a Doge. I mean, just all of it. In fact, I tell you what, one more time, give me the sound effect. We got to have it. Let's end the show on that since I had a great time with it. Go ahead and hit it.
Doge. Doge.
Nice. All right. Listen, we got plenty on tap. I didn't get to my number 3 dipper. We all live in the border states, but we do. And just know this. Right now, there's a movement afoot. I'm changing gears on you, but there's a movement afoot right now in the Alabama legislature to do what we did when I was there, which is pass illegal immigration law, but take it even steps further than we probably could have gone back then, because today public sentiment says we want it even more than we did back then. That being said, we are all a border state. Keep an eye on that and how it develops. And I'll just tell you right now, you guys are the best audience in the world. Everything we're doing around here, we do it for y'all, and we do it because of y'all, and we couldn't do it without y'all. So thank you very much. And don't forget, there are more of us than there are of them. God is still on his throne. Stay in the fight. We'll see you tomorrow.